to Finextra. I'm Josie Waite and I'm here at EBAday 2018 in Munich. And joining me now is Claus Richter, Chair of the EBA Liquidity Management Working Group, and we are discussing corporate liquidity management. Claus, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you're enjoying the event so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really exciting so far.
So the EBA Liquidity Management Working Group you are chairing has just issued its first thought leadership paper. Could you please share with us one or two key takeaways from the paper?
Yeah, of course. So I think we see a couple of different key takeaways. Number one, the corporates that we had quite a big focus on are taking steps to enhance their technology usage. However, it's very clear that they are still quite immature in that space. So Excel is still the preferred tool for many corporates when we talk cash forecasting and liquidity management. Another key takeaway is that when we look at this from a bank point of view, then the adaptation of Basel III and the regulations around that is being done quite differently per bank and per country. So we still see that there is probably a need for some alignment around that and in terms of how the banks uses the regulation and how that impacts the liquidity and their balance sheet.
We are seeing a lot of processes and payments and transaction banking being revisited these days. Now that PSD2 is in place, instant payments have been introduced, and the impact of new technologies continue to grow. How are these and other developments impacting corporate liquidity management?
So it's very clear that there's been a trend in the payment world for a long time around instant payments. And it's been developing in different markets. You know, the UK has had faster payment for a long time. The Nordics has had real-time payments for a long time. And now it's going and being widespread in Europe with RT1 and tips and other services coming on board, right? That whole development means that both as banks as well as corporates, we need to relate to how we manage liquidity in real time. And that's something that we haven't really done before. We've always had an end-to-day process around our liquidity management. So this is something that, as the volume on instant payments grows, something that we need to manage. You know, you can imagine if a large corporate suddenly transfers $1 billion in real time, that will have impact both in terms of the liquidity, especially if you're a smaller bank, but also if you actually look at the whole AML risk and other aspects of that processing. So there's these different movements in the market are interacting with each other. As well as if you look at PSD2, you start to see that actually reinforces the ability to do instant payments and thereby increases further the need around managing the intraday liquidity. PSD2 as well is of course something that broadly changes all factors around banking and thereby also liquidity management. So for instance, if you look at this from a corporate point of view, you could easily imagine that you would contact your bank via an API to get your balance on your account, rather than what happens today where you get sent an account statement maybe end of day, some cases intraday, but you would be able to get that information in real time, and you would actually also be able to do this across your banking stack as maybe your primary bank would be able to get that information and aggregate it for you via PSD2 service.
So what are the next steps for this working group?
So the next step for the working group is that we will now move into a phase where we're looking at the technology impact in liquidity management. We will look at this from two angles. We'll look both from the corporate side and from the bank side. So in the corporate space, we will look into what are the tools that the corporates really are missing and how can either our associate members, i.e. technology vendors out there, help supply that, or how can banks help supply their corporate customers with these needs. And from a bank point of view, we will look into and see how can we both supply those tools, but also what other technology needs do we have inside the banks in order to handle the liquidity needs in the future.
Claus, thank you very much for speaking with me.
You're welcome, anytime.
And thank you for watching.